Michael, friend, it's good to see you on the show. Let's go straight into it. What is your reaction to Trump's team expressing concern in that lawsuit? And let me be clear for our viewers. Trump sued you for $500 million. And when you ask for production of documents, which you're allowed to do under the rules of procedure, their answer is, we really can't turn it over because it could potentially incriminate Trump in his criminal cases.
Yeah, well, you probably should, as Bradley Moss said, you probably should have thought of that before you filed, because you can't have it both ways. Now, not only did he not want to turn over the documents pursuant to the Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination, but they wanted to have the deposition 90 days after the election. So he brings this lawsuit, and then 17 months later, he's willing to sit down, or at least to discuss sitting down for a deposition. The court has already stated no. We have a September 6th deposition date, and it's going to be a very interesting day, to say the least.
Michael, last night, Trump said on Truth Social, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. He's also shared video clips with similar language where he said, if you F around with us, if you do something bad to us, we're going to do things to you that have never done before. Earlier in this year in March, he put on social media potential death and destruction if a false charge, and it would be catastrophic for our country. I mean, Michael, should the judges in all of Trump's pending cases put a gag order and or revoke Trump's bond because his words pose a very real threat of harm to witnesses, prosecutors, judges, and others, including you?
Well, that's the big problem. Right now, everybody's worried about themselves. So you see, for example, the district attorney, Alvin Bragg. You see some of the judges. You see some of the prosecutors. They're all saying, hey, look, this type of language is absolutely unacceptable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is unacceptable. The people that they are not protecting, or the people that they are not including, at least in the conversation, are the witnesses. Now, look, I have to be very clear about it. At least here in New York, 70+% of the people are massive, Team Cohen fans. But that doesn't mean that you don't have people who are still on, Team Trump. This is a very dangerous scenario. That it's a dangerous game that they're playing, because it's not just Donald Trump that's doing this. We saw Ron DeSantis the other day talk about slitting throats, this rhetoric that they are putting out there, this dog whistle to action on their behalf. It is not only, what are we going to do? We're going to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Poor so-and-so. And, it's going to be an after the factor. I mean, what process is being done within which to stop this rhetoric, this dog whistle of, Trump and DeSantis and other MAGAs and other GOP members coming to Donald's aid, whether they think they're doing it or not?
And to your point, Michael, we did see them come to Trump's aid on January 6th. We saw the violence that ensued because Trump called them to arms. And related, we have a clip that we want to play quickly from February of 2019. I mean, that's more than 4 years ago, Michael, when you testified before the House Oversight Committee. Let's take a quick listen.
Given my experience working for Mr. Trump, I fear that if he loses the election in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transition of power.
Michael, like Nostradamus, you're predicting how your former boss would react if he lost. So what can we expect in 2024 if, and I'm going to emphasize if Donald Trump gets the GOP nom and is able to run from prison, maybe, what's going to happen? Can you predict?
Yeah, let me say that I believe that whether it's the Alvin Bragg DA case, whether it's one of the two or both of Jack Smith cases, the soon-to-be Fani Willis indictment, and then again the insurrection, January 6th matter, I believe that Donald Trump will be held accountable for all of the allegations that are being raised against him right now, that especially the three that he is currently in court on. I believe that the cases are not difficult to prove, some a little more difficult than others, but they are not difficult to prove. There's over 70 plus counts so far. I mean, obviously, once Fani Willis files hers, we're going to be well up to the three figures. He will be held accountable, and I believe that he will also be found guilty. Now, the question is, will the 50% of the GOP who claim that they will not vote for Donald Trump if, in fact, he's convicted, will they pull away? And if, in fact, they do, it would make no difference. The numbers don't work for him. They don't work even right now, but they will work obviously even less if, in fact, the convictions come down and when he loses to Joe Biden again in 2024. The real danger, again, goes back to our previous conversation, which is how will Donald Trump and other members of the GOP react? Will they continue with the dog whistle? Will they continue to obstruct justice? Will they continue to threaten witnesses, judges, prosecutors, and others? You know, it's not going to be easy to put on a case if you don't have witnesses, and witnesses really need to be protected, myself included, from the dog whistle that Donald and DeSantis and others are blowing right now.
Michael Cohen, as always, I appreciate your transparency on this. Thanks for joining us today.